initially we were marking them to ensure their survival and using transmitters and wing markers. But what we found came out of that was all this movement data, where these birds were going. And of course that was interesting because nobody could say for sure where they were going nor where they were coming from. The general theory, of course, and one we substantiated, is the fact that they do indeed go downriver across the Skagit Flats and then up through the San Juans and then northward. But what we were unaware of was how much usage the Fraser River receives, and it's quite extensive. If you were to see a bird that looks similar to one you released, well, immediately look for the band, and those will never come off. And if you see that, you could pretty much assume, oh, well, that's that bird. Of course, if the transmitter is still functioning, you're locked in on a particular channel, and if your signal's coming from that direction, you go off a quarter of a mile and triangulate it. That's the same bird, you know for sure it's that bird. And what we're doing is watching for normal flight behavior, characteristics, and feeding.
The eagle you're looking at has a name and a number. 2 years ago, it was brought in with an injury to the wing nerve, nursed back to health, and returned to the wild. Since then, its progress has been monitored to determine how well it has adjusted. And judging by what we have seen, it has adjusted very well.
We'd like to have a full-body X-ray and also one of each wing. We're looking for gunshot. And
Dr. James Foster, occupation, veterinarian, Woodland Park Zoo.
And then each wing.
His patient, a non-paying customer of national significance, whose powers were once regarded as supernatural, and whose case history could be anything from a gunshot wound to a collision with a power line. Since 1971, Seattle's Woodland Park Zoo has served as a rehabilitation and release center for sick or injured birds of prey. The first such program of its kind in the nation to specialize in eagles.
Okay, right there. Okay, that's that one.
It was 10 o'clock on a Wednesday morning in January, and the patient was brought in to be examined by Dr. Skip Nelson, the relief vet on duty. Patient, number XC28, a young female bald eagle. Cause of accident, unknown. The examination would determine the extent of injuries, but already she'd been classified as one of nature's losers.
Yeah, like she could have been trapped under something. She could have been in something with a lid over, you know, under an old box or in a coop or under a structure, under a building. A lot of speculation can go on in a deal like this, and you know, you're not going to find out. Maybe, that's his job.
As usual, the bird had been brought in by Officer Commodore Mann, Special Agent for the Fish and Wildlife Service, which works closely with the program.
The bird was located by a private party south of Port Townsend. We were picked up by them, turned over to the game department, and the game department turned them over to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and that's why we brought it in here.
How did they find it?
They found it alongside the road. It was walking in a ditch, and they just picked it up. They knew it was injured.
If eagles could just talk. But isn't. Can somebody come around here and put a tug on this leg for me?
I've heard it said by Fish and Wildlife Management people that disease has never played a long-term effect on wildlife populations. So when we're talking about 6 or 8 eagles a year, they're birds that perhaps have been forced out of prime habitat, and in those positions they are often quite vulnerable to being shot. So what I'm saying is that the birds that we usually get might be considered to be nature's losers. So then why is it that we would be working with these birds? Well, our primary interest is to call attention to the value of these birds in our ecosystem, and also to try to encourage people to have an affection and a knowledge of them so that they therefore will protect them and not shoot them.
That's so good. I'm real optimistic about this bird. I don't see any evidence of bone injuries, wing injuries. All the feathers are in pretty good shape. If what we've got here is a bird with, say, 4 minor infections, we can treat this bird. Wally can fatten this thing up and make it sassy, and this bird could be back out. This bird could be back out pretty quick. A week, 10 days.
In the past 9 years, we've gotten in 36 bald eagles, not counting all the Goldens. We've released 14 back into the wild, which seems like a low number, which it is. Terrible that the birds are so badly busted up that they can't be released again, but 12 of those that couldn't go back were transferred into other institutions. And they're in breeding projects now where they're going to take whatever offspring they produce and put them back into the wild population. And we're contributing in that manner also, even though the birds couldn't be turned loose.
We'll unlock this door and we'll put in.
Wally English, Woodland Park Zoo's curator of birds, has worked on the project from the beginning.
I'll just let her go. She's just going to go over into the corner.
If we push her much further, she'll defend herself and attack us. And, well, you can't really blame her.
National long-range possibilities include actually establishing a wildlife population in urban areas by imprinting birds of prey to a shelf on a building. The questions still vastly outnumber the answers. But many of the answers are coming from captive breeding programs, such as you find here at Seattle's Woodland Park Zoo, where serious research has resulted in a number of firsts. It was the first zoo to successfully breed and raise Harris hawks, for example. The snow owl is also part of that program. However, it's one thing to probe the psyche of a snow owl. Just getting an eagle to feed sometimes can be something else again. There are approximately 1,600 bald eagles that winter in Washington. There's an active nesting population of 150. There's no way an eagle can compete if it can't even remember the food it once fought for. To have any chance at all, they must be weaned back to their wild ways. Most of them make it, just that some take longer than others.
Do you think if we put him in with the adult bald that he'd start eating on his own?
That's one possibility. That's one thing why we should put him out there. That bald has been around for about 8 months and is eating on her own, and she knows what's going on. So maybe if he sees her eating, a little social facilitation or something.
Okay, well, that sounds good. We'll do that.
We have a pretty good idea just whether a bird is going to make it after it's been released. Right now we're collecting physiological data on these birds. We're taking blood samples when the birds are brought in, and we're also trying to collect physiological data here, blood values again, on birds that we have in our program so that we know what the normal blood values are for the bald eagle. We deal with dozens of birds over the years, and so I think that we can come up with some very important physiological data.
I can tell the way that bird moved, it should do real good when it's released.
Yeah.
It had full function of its wings, good agility.
Well, I'm sure he likes to be outside after being cooped up in that room and quarantined.
Yeah, I'm sure too.
Okay. Well, this was
Agreement, they've incorporated
task force recommendations, and there's nothing unusual within it, and we urge the committee to approve these things.
Been moved and seconded. Questions of the team? Well, I just want to say thanks. It's nice to, I know that when there are that many employees hanging out there waiting for contracts to be approved, it's nice that we can move expeditiously here to get things resolved. So appreciate you being a newcomer around here. That this is the first batch that's really under your leadership. So congratulations to you and all the hard work of the team.
Yeah, thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Well, and I would echo that thanks, and also thanks to the union leadership on the other side that worked with you to execute this. It's very big thanks to everybody. It's great to have it done and over.
My hope and desire is that we will continue this kind of relationship looking at
Great. Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thanks. Items 8, 9, and 10.
Council Bill number 111281, an ordinance relating to the city employees' retirement system authorizing employees participating in the early separation incentive program to purchase service credit. Council Bill number 111280, an ordinance establishing separation incentive, retraining, and severance pay programs for eligible non-represented city employees and amending ordinances to accommodate program provisions. Council Bill number 111279, an ordinance authorizing the execution of memorandum of understanding with the Coalition of City Unions to implement separation incentive, retraining, and severance pay programs for employees represented by the Coalition of City Unions.
Chairman Weeks, items 8 through 10 are all related to the negotiated settlement reached in April between the city and the Coalition of City Unions, and extends those benefits to the unrepresented personnel, those who are eligible. The job security agreement, which we entered into, was designed to alleviate the impacts of any layoffs having to do with the budget cuts as well as the reorganization. And the agreement really has 6 features to it. A voluntary separation program which permits eligible employees to separate from the city, and they receive a 1-week salary for each year of service up to $30,000. And they have an option of using that lump sum payment for either a lump sum cash payment, a retirement service credit, or health insurance. The second feature is a retraining program to retrain employees who would be laid off and to put them in other occupations. And that program provides for a maximum of $2,500 per employee, up to a program maximum of $150,000 for all the employees represented by the Coalition of City Unions. The third feature is a sabbatical leave program, which is identical to the sabbatical leave program for the unrepresented employees. The fourth feature is a safety net severance program, and that is where employees are laid off and is a trade-off for recall rights. They receive from $1,500 to $2,500 and waive the recall rights. And there's some reinstatement recall options, which gives more flexibility for employees to go into other departments in the same classification as long as they're otherwise qualified. And the sixth item is a reorganization employment impact provision, which permits the parties through a labor management committee to work out the differences having to do with the reorganization changes rather than going through the legal procedure and defer. All items 8 through 10 are all related to that. They're either retirement changes or application for the unrepresented or authority to execute the agreements with the plaintiffs. We would urge the committee to approve those ordinances.
Comments or questions from my colleagues?
Well, I do think this is a pretty historic point in time, and a lot of people worked really hard, and a lot of the things that are incorporated in this are things that employees and unions have and cities have wanted for a long time. So the fact that we were able to kind of package it together and people were willing to negotiate long hours over a weekend in a short period of time is significant and appreciated by, certainly by me. And a thanks to all the people that participated in putting this together. And I think that there are huge benefits for the employees and for the city. I'm very supportive.
I too am very supportive. I think that this is a time of a lot of talk about change in the city.
Different floor coverings here that are nice. Generally in the bedrooms I try to go to wool carpets most of the time because they have a lot lower potential emissions. Wool carpet's going to drastically outlast the conventional carpets. It should last for 30 years. It's easy to clean, stain resistant, naturally stain resistant. The materials I use throughout the house, they're very cost-effective materials, but they're quality materials. So they have to be compared in terms of their cost. They have to be compared to materials of similar quality. And when that happens, they actually compete very favorably for cost.
Recycled content building materials can be an excellent choice because using them closes the recycling loop, but their value doesn't stop there. In many cases, they even outperform more common product choices. Plastic lumber is an example of a recycled content product that has some wonderful applications. It is durable, has a pleasant look and feel, and will not require chemical treatment. This product is made from recycled plastic bags and wood debris. You can cut, router, and fasten it just like traditional wood decking. More and more product choices are becoming available every day, and knowledgeable people are ready to help you make material choices. The Environmental Home Center is an example of an emerging trend to provide resource-efficient products to the building industry.
We all love the warmth and the feel and the luster of wood, but with our new environmental awareness that is being formed in our society, a lot of times we don't think we should have wood, and we want to use it, but we want to be able to use wood guilt-free, and that's what these woods offer. All of these woods that you're seeing come from sustainable sources, or they're reclaimed from old buildings. This redwood, which we have a lot of, came from old wine casks. They were built out of redwood. They're 30 feet tall. It's a lot of wood, and it's mostly old growth. It can all be remilled into wood for trims, for decks, for railings, for anything. Strawboard's made from straw, from wheat straw, and there's lots of that around. It's a very renewable resource. The straw doesn't require as much glue as a wood would need because straw itself has a natural gluing property to it. It has the structural characteristics of particle board. It takes paint really nicely. It has a great texture to it. We also offer a latex paint, which is a water-based, low-toxic latex that has a very low VOC, which is volatile organic compounds, which is the stinky part of paint. And it is very low toxic. With the latex paints, you can get a color range of over 800 colors. You can get them in semi-gloss, flats, satins. Where you would normally have used an oil-based paint, there is a latex paint that works in a similar fashion, but it'll be very low toxic, easier on the environment, even down to when you're rinsing your paintbrushes out and how that affects the environment, not to mention you as the painter actually doing the project. We've also used a tile that is made from 70% recycled glass, 30% ceramic. So it gives you the real traditional tile look with a product with a high recycled content. Because it is a glass tile, it's a very strong tile. It does well in interior or exterior applications. The glue that you can use is a very low toxic glue to adhere it. Grout is fairly inert, and the tile itself, once it is made, is also inert. There's not a whole lot of off-gassing associated with a tile. True linoleum is product all the way through. The color goes all the way to the bottom. It's kept together with an all-natural jute backing instead of with synthetics. The base of it is true linseed. It's a true linseed and wood and natural earth and minerals that go to make this product. And you can see this oftentimes in old government buildings, old schools, libraries. You can walk into the Sears building and it probably has a linoleum floor that's been there since the 40s. It's just going to hold up really well. If you scratch this or mar the surface, you can just take some light sandpaper, sand it right out, and bring your floor right back to the way it was, and it'll continue to look good for a very long time.
Nice garage, huh? You wouldn't know it from looking at it, but this building was built with salvage materials. Salvaging and reusing demolition debris extends that material's service life. Using salvage materials such as doors, light fixtures, bricks, and framing lumber instead of virgin resources eliminates the need for processes like resource extraction and disposal. And, in most cases, it eliminates or reduces the energy needed for manufacturing and transportation. Using salvage materials, as I have done here, is a very resource-efficient choice. The materials I used in this garage are as good, if not better, than new products. And although it may not always be the case, my savings were substantial. Before using salvage materials, check with your building department to be sure they meet code requirements. Material choices not only affect a building's efficiency, they greatly affect indoor air quality. The materials and equipment that we build with can contribute to unhealthy work and living spaces. They also create hazards for construction workers and for the building's future occupants.
Healthy home technology is basically designed to get the off-gassing of a home down to a much lower level than a standard constructed home. And so the material product selection will be a real basis for getting that off-gassing down to a low level. The ventilation system, where you're getting the fresh air change, that gets the stuff that you aren't able to take care of on the elimination end out of the house, and so you're getting the air quality to come up. I really wouldn't have gone into environmental building or even thought it an important issue if I hadn't have been made sick myself. And I think it's one of those issues when you have first-hand experience, you get very passionate about it. I simply would have been trying to build as many homes as I could to make as much money as I could. I have a totally different concept, and so do a lot of other builders that are starting to come online, that money isn't the only issue. The health issue is important too. And so the building codes need to be thought of as minimal. They are not where you build, that you build above those standards. You increase your ventilation, you increase your bearing loads, you increase the quality of the home, and then you have a very good product. And people who are really concerned or interested in a good product will buy it. That's the fun part of building environmental homes, is that you get to see people's lives come from being sick and feeling tired and just worn out their whole life, can't concentrate, they're grumpy, they're miserable to be around, and all of a sudden they're normal people again, they're functioning, they're doing something, and it's because their environment has been cleaned up.
By understanding how products affect your health, you can minimize or eliminate many of the risks. Some of the ways you can build a healthy building include: reduce or eliminate indoor air quality problems by avoiding materials and equipment that can release harmful pollutants into the indoor air. Reduce the need for toxic chemicals for cleaning and maintenance through building material choices. Install effective ventilation to clean air. Provide filtration to clean water. And provide ways to control humidity to discourage harmful biological pollutants such as mold, mildew, and dust mites. Not only will you, your family, or other building occupants feel better, you may lower medical expenses or affect other economic impacts, such as worker productivity. You've done your design work, selected your materials and systems, and now you're ready to break ground. Resource-efficient building principles extend to this part of the job as well. There are many things you can do to incorporate these practices into siding your building. Preserve natural features to reduce soil erosion, landscaping installation, and maintenance requirements. Manage surface water to avoid erosion and water pollution. Save topsoil for reuse on site. Salvage the site's native plants and include them in your landscape. Landscape so that you reduce toxic chemical and water use while encouraging wildlife. Reduce impervious surfaces to minimize runoff. Orient building site to take advantage of solar benefits, and salvage and recycle materials from unwanted buildings existing on site. By being a smart builder, you can significantly reduce the waste that you create, but inevitably, you will generate some waste. Construction, demolition, and land clearing debris is a huge waste stream. Much of it is not only recyclable, it's valuable. Recycling recaptures valuable resources, and it can save you money. In some cases, there are significant savings.
Yeah, like you said, we don't really track our debris costs anymore on a job-per-job basis. We know that it costs less money to recycle on a job. We tracked some projects early on, like the Oregon Arena project that we did for the Portland Trailblazers. On that project, which is a huge project, we saved close to $200,000 in dump fees. We are recycling, anywhere from 50% on some of the tenant improvement jobs to 90% on a job like this of the waste. I mean, when you get right down to it, the waste stream on a job like this, what are you really going to be throwing in a dumpster? This is sort of the other end of the spectrum. This is a small tenant improvement type of job. The point that we are trying to make with this is that you can pretty much recycle on any size job. It doesn't necessarily have to be the big giant mega job in order to perform recycling efficiently and make it so that it's not a, I mean, some people think that it's, as you get smaller and smaller in scale, that you pretty much just got to chuck everything in the garbage can. And that's not necessarily true. You can do it on this type of thing. You have to be set up with the right dumpster, and you have to have the right attitude with the people on site.
Recycling services vary statewide. For construction, demolition, and land clearing waste recycling locations in your area, call your local solid waste department or call toll-free 1-800-RECYCLE. No matter what kind of project you have, resource-efficient building can improve quality, marketability, and can save you money. Many state and local governments, nonprofit groups, and trade organizations are providing services to help the construction industry and the public find the information and services they need. To find out more about some of these resources, call 1-800-RECYCLE or access the solid waste website via the Department of Ecology's homepage. You'll find Ecology's homepage at www.wa.gov/ecology. You see, you don't have to be a builder to make a difference. The client is the most influential partner on a construction team, and their influence comes in the form of money. The client can influence the project by specifying resource-efficient building practices and hiring contractors with the experience and the enthusiasm to apply them. So, we've covered some pretty exciting stuff today, and I challenge you. I challenge you to make an effort to incorporate some of these ideas into your building project. Start small or go for the gusto, but do it. That's all for now, folks. Let's call it a day.